everybody, how are we doing? The hair just keeps getting longer. That's what happens. Let me get the chat on the screen. Where's the chat at? I had it up. Oh, darn. I was talking to people in the chat. We're having a good time. Talking to people. I'm about to get Brian Inception on the screen right now. Pop out chat. Chat is about to be on the screen. Good rule of thumb. Start knitting early, knit your assignment early, make sure it knits. And I've got some stuff up in the background. We can start going over the assignment a little bit more. So I'll take down the stat tool 1 in the background right here in a moment. But people are wondering about question number 2. Is question number 2 sequences? I'm trying to remember. Let me get the assignment up here. It's so good to see everybody here. Office hours time, chilling out. Good to see you, Ryan. Oh yeah, so is it the sequences stuff? I can kind of do that one from memory. So as long as you get your questions printed up, going through the Duo login right now, off-screen login. So as long as you have your questions up, so let me pull up R right here. Let me take a look. How's chat doing? So question 2 is the sequence stuff about the histograms. Let me pull up R in the background right here. Clear out all my work, starting with a fresh new instance of R. Okay, so let's see what everybody is seeing. Let's see. We're going to go right here and boom. So you should be able to see my R nice and clear in the background behind my head right here. And we're going to make a histogram appear over there. I'm going off the screen over there. So that is where the histogram will be at. I need a little more room right here. Oh, that's all the room I got. I can't go too far over here or I disappear. So with this histogram, you might wonder why we're making this. This is going to be to just kind of understand what's going on right here. So let's make a sequence of numbers going from 1 to 100. So this is a review of question number 2. So BAS 320, question 2. And I do this right here. And I want to show you something kind of cool. You may know this about RMDs, but you can also do this with R files. So you could take an R script and put in different headings right here, and you could actually search through the headings. So that's kind of another cool thing. It's kind of one of the fun things about R is like, you're like, oh, I've got this heading up here, and this is where I'm gonna do my work. And then I want to go back down to question 3, and it'll bring you to question 3. I want to go to question 4, it'll bring you to question 4. So sometimes you might see me do something like this, and I do this in some of our files, but then you've got this kind of index right here. So this is kind of like how to index stuff inside of R. You can do it with an R script also. R scripts have the same, or excuse me, an RMD. This is an R script. You can identify it by the blue, and you see R script. There's the blue. We also use R markdowns a lot. This is just a default R markdown with an HTML output. Doesn't matter what you select because you can always change what output you want. And R markdowns also have this kind of search through feature. Whenever you get this default R markdown, I immediately erase everything inside of it, and then I treat it as follows. And I think it was Muhammad yesterday was telling us about Control-Alt-I to insert chunks. So you could just go in here and start inserting your code chunk and just call this like question 1. And then you notice it comes up in your search bar. So that is how you index stuff. But let's talk about here. How do we make a histogram of numbers? Let's first do this. Remember, we code in little bits. Little bits. You need to be louder a little bit. There we go. That's how we code. So I need someone to tell me how can I make a sequence of numbers going from 1 to 100? I need to know in the chat for 100 points. Why not, to get us started on these office hours? How do I make a sequence of numbers going from 1 to 100? There's a lot of ways. I'm going to start coding the way that I don't want to code it until someone tells me the quick way. I'm going to start coding here a vector of numbers going from 1 to 100. It's going to take all the office hours or not. I mean, this is way too long making a vector. You can hit enter at the end of a line when you put a comma right here. No one knows. Am I even broadcasting on YouTube? I think we are. Let's see here. Does anyone know how to make the vector of 1 through 100? I get scared when the chat doesn't answer. It's going to be really crazy if I code the whole thing here. Whoa, Ryan's got it for 100 points right there. Okay, let's stop this process. We stop that. That's insanity. Let me bring this back up. Ryan, you're all right. That's way easier. That's going to code a vector of numbers 1 through 100. You know what we could probably do? I wonder if this will work. That does work. Ryan, you saved us at the end right there. But why do it that way when we can just do this? There we go. Both these codes produce the same output. I'm just, for the last element of this right here, And just tell me for this video quality, does this look great? Can you perfectly see what's on my screen? Like, oh, this is easy to read, Brian, or no, you should go over to full screen and make that bigger, or like, no, it's perfectly fine. I can read it a-okay. If you're like, you can tell me why I'm doing this problem right here. And this is question number 2. That's kind of what we're covering right here. So I'm going to take these numbers that I've stored into a vector right here. I've just taken, how do we see the question for number 2? I feel like I'm missing something. So you should go, and I probably need to bring up, I'm going to bring up the UT Marvel thing here. I'll show you how yours will look. 2 seconds. I need to download the thing, and give me a moment. Grabbing the assignment. I will show you how your questions will look. And assignment is loading in. We'll put assignment over here. We don't want that RMD. 2 seconds, you'll see the screen and everything. 2 seconds, and we'll have it loaded in. Okay, cool. So let's talk about how your assignment will look. People are wondering in the chat, how will I find my numbers? How will I know what to do for mine? Here we go. So question number 2 is going to be right down here. And my UTID is 1. So this is my UTID. I'm going to run this right here. And then one thing you have to do is you have to load in the, so some people are running into this issue. Please contact me. Please start early. I promise you the people who are finishing the assignment, they probably had issues. They started early, but you need to run the load function right here. So this load function right here, and put in your UTID, this load function right here loads in the R environment, which is the R data. So what this load function is going to do is it's going to look in your working directory where most people have a problem, like where this doesn't work, and it's going to load in some stuff. Like take a look, watch up here in the corner. Boom, things loaded in. And let's run that again right here. We're going to lose our numbers. But this is what happens when you run the load function. The load function loads in the environment, and the environment is like a brain. So here comes the brain. Boom. So it loaded in the alumni data frame, and it loaded in a function called print my, and like print my questions or something I think it's called, print my question 2. So function print my question 2 is going to print your question 2. So there's a redundant my student ID right here because it's going to take your student ID right here. So we run this, and then this, for all intents and purposes, is 1 because that's what my student ID is. I am the first student at UT. I'm not, you know, jokes. So we go right here and we get our questions. Now, one thing you could technically do is you could take your questions right here and you could just paste them up to here. So this is one thing you could possibly do, is go right here and put your questions so you can see it. So some people might be like, my man. I need that on the soundboard right there. Little bits. We got little bits. We don't have my man yet. Oh, I need to put oof on the soundboard today. That's happening after class or after office hours. So here's my questions, not your questions, but these are my questions. How many bars would a histogram have? And so this is why I'm asking, let's make a histogram. So with this, and I'm starting chatbot here. Chatbot. Nope, chatbot, you broke the internet. Okay, chatbot's not working. Chatbot's loading up. So with chatbot loading up in the background here, so we can do points and we can talk to chatbot as usual, MuBot. How many bars would a histogram have if the first left edge was at 10 and the last edge was at 75? So this is a harder problem to work because of the very small width of the bars. I'll draw this out here in a moment. I'm getting chatbot loaded up as we do this. So chatbot can be loaded up later today too. Perfect. Chatbot is good to go. So let's look at a Word document right here. And with this Word document, let's draw what we want to see. So here we go. So we are looking for a histogram that starts at a certain number. Let's say the histogram starts at, let's say, 15. And that always happens with a new Word document. I open a new one and it's perfectly fine. So let's say it starts at 15, because I'm not blocking it, and it goes to 25, and it goes up by 5. So this right here goes to, well, darn. Yeah, it's not that we can do this very small problem, and it'll solve for us the answer. Okay. So I want us to look at this right here and figure out the mathematics behind this. It's on my head. What we have going on right here is a histogram that starts at 15, and each bin width is 5, and it goes up to 25. I need to see in the chat for 100 points, getting everyone awake right now. How many bars does this bin have? I mean, how many bins does this histogram have? How many bars / bins? How many bins does this histogram have? How many? Complex questions right here. Complex questions. Hardest questions we've ever had today. How many bins does that histogram have? Because if you can figure this out theoretically, then you could figure out the bigger problem. Be careful. Be careful. You're close. So the bins right there, you still get the 100 points right there. So it'll be 2 bins. And this is where we're going to see that the answer is there's 3 numbers on this number line, but there's only 2 bins. I disappear if I go too high right there. So to illustrate, there are 3 numbers on this number line, but there are only 2 bins. So there's a bin here and a bin here, but you have the 3 numbers. Great job right there. This is what we do. No, not it's Starbucks cold brew. I've never had kombucha, so I can't talk ill of it. But I don't feel like I'd like it. You can't do that though. You gotta try it. Gotta be like, I'll try one, see what I think. It's how we roll. Is don't pass judgment. Just give it a try and be like, okay, I hate it. That was a good $8 spent. I think kombucha is pretty expensive. So that's maybe another, maybe like, not willing to take the risk because I'm happy with what I have. I really like Bold House drinks. Like Bold House has like Green Machine and stuff like that. That's my like expensive drink of choice. Or the Starbucks cold brews are like $1 each, so cheaper than going to actual Starbucks. So, yep, that is my expensive drink of the day, $1. Oh, craziness in class today. Okay, so with this right here. Let's write out a code that is going. I want you right now in the chat to see if you can figure out a code that's going to write this sequence. We're doing number 2 right now, and this code, we're going to write a code that does this sequence. Hint, we're going to write a code that does this sequence. Why am I saying sequence that way? Sequence. Like I'm trying to almost show you the first 3 letters have some sort of importance. Sequence. So yep, right there. Perfect, David. Perfect. And so let's show what David has. I'm going to write right here. David wrote seek, and that's a lowercase q. We got to really make that clear because lowercase s. Because if we do an uppercase s, it is not the right thing. So seek, and then 15 is the start point, 25 is the end point, and 5 is the units we're going by. And so there's lots of ways to do this. I'm going to do it over here, right here. And we're going to insert a code chunk with our cool code Control-Alt-I. And thank you to Muhammad, especially telling us that. We're going to call this Q2A because we can name this chunk. So if later on we want to look for it, it's right there. So I added this in. This was done via, I'll put a note right here for you, Control-Alt, and then I inserts. And imagine on a Mac it'd be Command instead of Control. And that inserts a chunk. And then I went here and named the chunk. Be careful. Make sure you have a space next to it, because it needs that space for the name. And you don't have to name it. It's just what I like to do. So I'm making up that my question says, we have a histogram that starts at 15, goes to, don't change your question. I wonder if we could know if you changed it. Oh yeah, because you won't, we'll print your questions and we'll see what they are. So don't do this. So this histogram starts at 15, goes to 25, and has bin widths of 5. So if you look at this right here, we're writing out seek for sequence, and we're going to go from equals 15 to equals 25, and by equals 5. And it makes this sequence of numbers right here. This is the exact same sequence of numbers that we observe at the top right there, 15, 20, 25. So take note that you are obtaining this 15, 20, 25, and there we go, right there. So if you take this sequence and you want to know how many numbers are in this sequence, how can we figure out how many numbers are in this sequence? Like, what is a code we can write to figure out how many numbers are in the sequence? What is a code we can write to figure out how many numbers are in that sequence? Boom, right there. Let's do that. Oh, you've already got the... We're going to take the length of the sequence right here. So sum will add up these numbers right there as another 100 points. Keep answering, keep answering. Sum will give me 60. If I were to take the sum of it, it'll add up all these numbers, but I want to know how many numbers are in the sequence, and that'll be length. So length will tell me like there are 3 numbers in this sequence. It'll count saying like 1, 2, 3, and it'll say like how many numbers long is this sequence. That's what length does. So there are 3 elements or 3 positions in this sequence. And as we obtained from the previous kind of work we did kind of showing it, there are only 2 bins, and 3 minus 2 or 3 minus 1 is 2. I can't, if I knew how to do arithmetic, I'd be the best around. No one's going to ever keep me down. So I'm going back in time here to go back to our original question, the way it was worded, and I think that's got it. So now instead of doing this sequence, I'm going to go from 10 to 75 by 0.5. And I'm just going to use the same, like, does this make sense? I'm going to use the same kind of theory, which it holds true. I mean, I know we haven't done a mathematical proof to show that this works for everything, but it does. This is how the bins of a histogram work. And if we think about why we're doing this, it's kind of like each bin ends on the next number. Like the first bin ends on the second number. So it's almost like you'll always disregard this first number right here because the first bin ends on the second number. So you're just really subtracting off this first number whenever you do this. We could do it for a longer sequence of 8 bins or something like that. And you'll see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bins. So you would count up all the numbers down here, as we were saying, I'll space pen over them. We'd count up all the numbers here. And we get 8 bins. So with this are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Because it's where kind of that bin ends. And there are technically 9 lines here, but this is not the end of a bin. So if you made this number sequence, whatever it was, you could figure out how many bins there were by taking how many spots there are in the number sequence and just subtracting 1 from it, because it's 9 minus 1. So that's where the answer is kind of coming from right there, is it's always 1 less bin. So this is kind of the theory behind it. And so once we know that, all we're doing is going into R, making our sequence right here, finding out how many numbers are in that sequence, and subtracting 1 from it. So the first step, to just break it apart a little bit more, is to find out, this is just another way, be very careful, don't write everything I do, but we're finding out how many numbers are in our sequence, and there's 131 numbers, or these are all the numbers. Second step right here, let's just call this sequence, make this very clear. That is the sequence we are making. And then this right here, the length, is going to be length of sequence now. And this will be amount of numbers. And then the answer, we can go here to answer. Your answer is going to be the amount of numbers minus 1. So this is a very thorough way of doing it, and then we need to print our answer here. So that's a very thorough kind of overdoing it type of way of doing it, but it shows the steps. We made our sequence, which is, just to review, this sequence down here. Then we found out how many numbers are in the sequence with the length function. Then we subtracted off 1 from it, because once again, this number doesn't count because it's not the end of a bin. And that is our answer. And then this prints the answer. I don't know if breaking it apart like this helps, but hopefully seeing it a few different ways kind of reinforces what we're doing right here. And you can kind of see what each individual function does rather than seeing it all built together. And you can do it all at once because the same answer would be obtained from this code right here. This is everything put together into one. Do not, I think it's quote 7. I think it's like, don't do everything Brian does. If you're watching this right now, do not write everything Brian does when doing an assignment. Do what Brian says, not what Brian does. Brian is usually right, but sometimes too right. What other questions are there? The other ones are dealing with sequences. We could do a little more question 2 in the chat. Tell me what you think. What questions should we do? Do we have a code 12 yet? Mubot. You'll eventually make errors, Mubot. You are human, I think. Have I made some errors? What other questions are there? I can do a little more question 2. I might do some Lubridate, especially if there's no question. Is it error? Error. Mubot, tell me about my errors. Do I have to give myself an error to hear about my errors? 2C, you got it. Why not? We'll do 2. Oh, I don't have the error counter going. Ha 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 ha. That'd be why. 2B. Oh, perfect. Look at that. We got this. Where's my counter going? This is very important. Q. What? 2 seconds. Users. It's so important that it's going. Why don't I see it? Events. Wait. 2 seconds, everyone. Betting, poll, mini games, users, current counter. Got it. Start. Okay. Let's do this. 2B. Or not 2B. You got to make that joke. Anytime you say that, you have to make that joke. Okay. So I inserted a chunk using Control-Alt-I so I could work on it right there. Can you do some questions on number 4? Yeah, of course. You bet. We'll do these two right here, and then we'll do question 4 next. You got it, Chandler. So Q2B right here. And what is the 608th element of a sequence that starts at this and goes up by this? So when you hear starts, I'd almost put in from, not form. And goes up by. Okay, that's a keyword right there. Okay, and then the other key thing right here is this. Okay, so we got some key stuff right here. I can send a link for number 4 from past office hours. Yeah, you can. Yeah. If you want to drop that in the chat, you can, and I'll also work it here. Yeah, do that. And then Chandler, if you have more questions, come back. But yeah, I can also work number 4 too if you want. That's what we do. We're just here to help. So, and you notice below these, if you go to these videos, I try to timestamp them all, and you can always add comments too. You can, just add comments if you want. Just saying. You can throw some comments on our YouTube videos. One day we made like $6 on YouTube, and I was like, what? $6 is like $2,000 a year. It's insane. $6 a day. That makes you think if you're spending $6 a day on Starbucks, it's a lot of money a year. Anyways, more about statistics, more about business analytics. Once again, all that money goes back to the students. That's what we do with it. Boom. But finally, we're about to cash out on YouTube eventually because we finally made over $100. Yeah. That's why I got Flex. Oh, good to see you here, Jessica. We've got right here some things. If you notice, we have some things to deal with. I'm going to put them in the chat. And so we've got the 3.2, we've got the 0.3, and we've got the 608. We need to find some way to work with these things. Let's kind of talk about what sequence has in it. If you're wondering how to use sequence, you'll go to !SEQ, and it gives you a really good overview of everything in sequence. You can see it here behind me. But sequence has the arguments from, to, by, and length out. And it was like last office hours, I found out something I didn't know, that there's these things called partial matches. I knew that, but I didn't know how partial you could get on the matches. We're going to do something ridiculous right here. Once again, quote 7. Classic quote 7 right here. What's our time travel quote? We need that quote again. That's like quote 12, I think. So it's going to be sad when I memorize what all these quotes are. I know what 3 is. 3 is vols, out vols. Okay, so what I'm about to do here is a really kind of iffy idea. So thank you so much, Ryan, right there. And hover over the bottom of it. Should bring you to it. Open a new tab. And yeah, you should have the question there. Perfect. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. And what we have right here is the sequence is going to go from, but I bet you I'm going to try something. Don't do this. Mubot. Oh, I cannot type today. Might be a quicker way. Maybe I'll just call that exclamation mark Q. It's not the right one. It's 9 maybe. 2. No, we'll go B equals. And then I'm gonna see if this works. Does it work? It works. Okay, so here's the thing: is R does partial matches. This is a bad idea, but it's recognizing the F as the from argument, it's recognizing the B as the by argument, and it's recognizing the L as the length out argument. I don't usually use L, all this right here. The best way to write this is from, by, and I usually do length, but it is length out. The reason it recognizes, and it's not using length, the function length. Be very careful. This won't run. This is using the function length, not the argument length. Does that make sense? Like this is the function length because it's got the parentheses and it's going to get the length of something. It's not an argument. An argument won't have those things right there. So if you do length with the parentheses, you'll be using it as a function within a function, which you can do functions within functions, but you don't want to do that here. You want to make sure that you're doing length as an argument, which is actually the argument length out. But it does a partial match on it, so it'll run anyways. You don't even have to do all of length. You could just do like len, and that it'll figure out that that's length. It's smart enough to know like they typed len. I bet they mean length out. So I always had just learned it as length, and like, well, why does this work? Like when I I could do that. But hopefully this makes sense to everybody right here, what's going on. And the answer is right next to my nose right there. The answer is right under my nose now. There we go. The answer is under my nose. Bad jokes today. So we don't want to print this whole sequence though. So please, 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 if you're listening to this is a huge tip. Knit your document, make sure it shows the answers you want to show. What should I do? There's lots of ways to get the right answer here. What could I do to this sequence, which I can just call X for the moment? I can just store it into X. You can always keep overwriting what's in X. It's just where I might store something for the moment. What could I do with X right now to get the answer? Let's try to find 3 ways. I'll help out with one of them. 100 points each. What's one way I could manipulate X right here to get the right answer for this question and print X to the screen? I would only do one of these ways, but what's many other ways? It kind of looks like an old-timey like medicine bottle or something. It's Starbucks cold brew, but it it looks like, I don't know. It's like go to the doctor and they're like, drink this. And like, I don't know. Once again, Starbucks cold brew, cacao and honey. It's good. Basically, Ryan, good job right there. Remember, we put the positions on the outside of it, and we use square brackets, which you did use. And I think you meant 608. You just typed 108. That is one way right there. Can you think of another way? Everyone's gonna, if you think of multiple ways, I'll have to have a harder time thinking of these ways. I'm also afraid to use my mute because I've got that next to it. Just like my Morse code. So it's on my sound effect board, which is a really cool sound effect board. Any other ways? 100 points each. Other ways to do this right here. If you're watching this, be thinking about it. What else way could I get it? The more ways you know how to do something, it's like speaking a language. You should almost know how to say something 3 ways. Imagine if you were tired and you're like, I'm really exhausted today. I'm really tired today. I'm feeling run down today. I don't have much energy today. I can say like 4 ways of being like, I feel tired. And so because of that, I've got an easy way of explaining it. Or if someone's like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, I'm just, I don't have as much energy as I usually do. And they're like, oh, okay. So yeah, no, I feel fine today. I was just like, what could I talk about? And I was like, I don't know. Just think about like, I don't know. Everyone's like, Brian's tired. No, I swear I'm not. I'm not tired. I'm drinking the Starbucks. Here's another way right here. This gets the last element. We can also confirm that we have the right answer by viewing this right here. I'm trying to think of another way. I was doing the third way to challenge myself, and then we'll do 2C right here. It's challenging to think of 3 ways, even sometimes for me. Like a third way to get the same answer. Someone's going to think of it before me. And I'll be like, no, you figured it out before me. I mean, you can use a variant of what we're doing right here with the tail with no defaults. That'll do the last 6 elements, and we want this. Now, you would think you would not enter 6 right here, but tail returns the elements of the 6th to last, 5th to last, 4th to last, 3rd to last, 2nd to last, 1st to last, and then you want the last element of the tail element being returned right there. And so hopefully that makes sense right there. There's ridiculous ways also. Please don't do all these answers I'm doing right now because you only truthfully need that. You only need this. And also you don't even need to store it. Another way is to just go here and take element 608. Another way with the sequence is to make a sequence that goes further than you need it to. This is another way to do the problem altogether, is to make a sequence that goes to something like 200, which I can see by the answer is more than enough. But maybe if we didn't know, we'd put like 10,000. There we go. 1,000 is way more than enough. And then we'd go by the number. And now that we have this sequence, we could just take the 608th element of that sequence. So that's a total revision of like how to even use sequence to get the right answer. Just build a sequence that's longer than you need, and then go to the 608th element. So I inserted segments of R, so I could have the answers directly under the questions. I keep getting the following error: not recognizing as an internal or external command, operable program batch file. It doesn't pop up on the news. Like, oh no, Jessica, can you send me that immediately? I'll probably have time between YouTube, office hours, and class. I probably should have time. If not, I'll get to it tonight. But send me your R file, and I will take a look, and we'll get it working. We'll figure out what it is. Are you able to still do like some code chunks? Are you able to still kind of like work on stuff? Hopefully that's happening. Because I could like, okay, good. As long as you can still work on stuff, you just can't like knit. I'll get that figured out for you. I only have, yes, nice job. We're going to do 2B right, 2C right here. I'm going to delete off these and do the question underneath it. Yeah, we could do you want to do 7B? Looks like 78 on my screen. Oh, it is 78, is it not? It is 78. Is it 7 and 8? Are there 8 questions? I don't know how many questions there are. There's only 7. I was like, is there an 8? So 7E. There we go. I was like, so I am so blind, it's bad. I can't see anything. I just type by memory, and if I feel my hands go wrong, I just say, oh, wait, that's an error. So 7F. We can do those next. We can do 7E and 7F next. You got it. If you like. Sorry. No, it's all right. I mean, I have my contacts in, but still blind. Consider a sequence that starts at -2. So we got to start right here. Let's put that in parentheses so we can kind of see. And ends at this. Well, ends, let's just put 2 and goes 2. How about this? We change the wording of it so we can understand better. Consider a sequence that starts at this and goes to this. So we could say from, that is from this and goes to this, and which has a length of that many elements. How many elements are greater than 10? So this is a logical check right here. So let's put logical check beside this. So once again, we code in little bits. You know what we're talking about right here. So when we do this, we don't want to write the whole thing. The first step would be to write the sequence. We can do 7C next. When creating the subject, do we need to use order or sort? Because I was a little confused on how to differentiate between the two. Use order. I'll show that next year. We'll do some 7 next. That's a tough one. But you will use order. Sorting is for vectors, and ordering is for data frames. And you can order the rows of a data frame using order. And I'll go through the whole order thing because that code, it was like 3-4 years back. I was teaching an honors class, and I was like trying to explain it, and I couldn't explain it. Now I can explain it. I was like, they're like, I don't understand. I was like, I felt so bad. So I remember like the first time I really understood it. And if you're, it takes a while till you can like explain it fully, because even if you understand it, yeah. What is the difference between data frames and vectors? Data frames are 2-dimensional. Vectors are 1-dimensional. So you can see here this sequence is a vector. And just think of a vector as a line of data. Even though you will see at this sequence of numbers right here, it wraps around the screen. It's just my screen is not long enough. If I extend my screen, it wraps even longer. Like this is a 1-dimensional object. It's like a road you would travel down. And if you travel all the way to 121, you'd get to here. But it's just a 1-dimensional road. The only reason it looks like this is because it has to wrap around the screen, because it can't, like if my screen was super long, we could just print the whole vector. Or if you made the vector smaller, just the positions, you would see it's just 1-dimensional. So it's just a line of numbers that just say, here's the first number, here's the second number. There's also vectors inside of data frames. So you can go to the alumni data frame, and these are vectors right here. As you can see, they just like go down. So this area code column right here is a vector inside of a data frame. So the data frame has 2 dimensions because you've got the row space and you've got the column space. So vectors are inside of data frames. Technically, row 1 is also a vector too. So you've got the vector of information in row 1, and we could do that right here. We could go to alumni and get just row 1. Remember, rows come first. I want to rock. Columns, because you say, I want to rock. Rock. There we go. And so we got the rows and the columns, and we say, give me everything in row 1. And there's all the information in row 1. Although it looks like some sort of data frame is being printed out, all it's doing is wrapping the information around the screen. This is everything just here in row 1. And the code I used for that was I just put 1 here, and I put nothing in the columns. I could ask everything in column 1, which is also a vector right here, and this is the vector of gender. It is just wrapping around the screen because it's just too long for it to fit across the whole screen. Does that make more sense right here that data frames are going to be 2-dimensional? Think of a data frame as like an Excel spreadsheet, and then columns are like 1-dimensional, like a column in an Excel sheet is a vector, or a row in an Excel spreadsheet is a vector of data. Because you would just, yep. Great question, Jessica. I mean, these are things you got to ask. Like, what's a vector? What's a, don't worry. I mean, how else do you know? So good stuff. Let's see right here. We need to write our sequence. Let's write that sequence. You can call it sequence 2 or sequence 2C. There we go. Good name for it, because that's what it is. It's sequence 2C. We're saving into this object right here, creating a sequence. And this is a left arrow, which means store into. When I say store into something, you're going to like left arrow into it. That's left arrow. I'm reversed imaged. And so let's do this. We need to use the sequence function, which builds a sequence. We need to go from equals -2 by equals. Nope, not using by. Wait, from goes to 12. Yeah, to 12. And has length of 321. So now we've created this sequence right here. It's always good to look at something after you build it. I've made a mistake here or there. I think I made one mistake for 474. And people are going to get a question wrong because I didn't fully answer it. So if you notice, this is a sequence right here. We want to know how many things are greater than 10, just greater than. And we could start counting. Wait, here's where 10 is at. And 10 is at the 276th element and goes all the way to the last element. So 276 to 321, so like 35. No, wait. 45. Well, you know what? Why count when we can just do the following? We can take our sequence right here and see if the things are greater than 10. Now, this is the trues and falses. So I want to take all these trues and falses right here and add up all the trues. What is the only thing I need to do to add up all the trues? I'm just going to take the code I currently have, coding in little bits. What am I going to do with this thing right here to just add up all the trues? So if you remember, trues and falses are ones and zeros inside of R. So just think that this is just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and everything right here is 0, 0, 0. So what could I do to all these ones and zeros to find out how many trues there are? Because trues are ones. So I could just something up all the ones. I could something up all the ones. I could something, some function maybe. Ryan, 100 points right there. Yeah. If you listen carefully, I'm trying to like, did I say 46? False sound effects today. Oof is coming later. Should go like record it during class. But that's got it. That's got it. This soundboard I have is really cool. Or this device, this Go XLR, it's so much fun. It's so easy to use. Really cool device. Like the sound effects are all down here. If I turn this down, you won't hear any of the sound effects. You won't hear the sad music until I turn this back up. So pretty neat. And then I can hit buttons like this and talk any way I want. Is the vote that the next class I should do the whole class like this? What if I start off and people are like, hey Brian, you sound... Let's go down to question 7. They were like, hey, Brian, let's see right here. We go there. Wait. I don't know. I'm just turning the knobs as I do this. Hey, Brian, something's wrong with your voice. I'm just having fun today, guys. No. No one's saying anything. Don't ever give me a soundboard. Okay. It's off. Effect is off. I rarely use that during class. I just can't find a way. I think it's distracting. So you're right. Yeah, Ryan is. So let's go right here. Let's we might need to do, what's the vote? Should we do all of 7 or jump to 7C? Can I jump to 7C? I think I have to write, I got to write the subset. Okay, so I have to make the subset and then I have to make the sort subset. Okay. I think I pretty much know how to make the subset. Okay, start the clock. We're hopping over to a speed run right here. You know, we haven't done a speed run in a while. How quickly can Brian make a subset right here? We're getting the speedrun timer going. I can't open up the alumni to number 7. Do you currently, so you don't see, Isaiah, good question. Isaiah, you don't see it right here, do you, Isaiah? So Isaiah here, working with Isaiah right here. Isaiah, do you see alumni right here in the corner? My guess is no. Okay, go to line, it should be around line 36 right here. When you run get working directory, it should display that you're in your BAS 320 folder. And then do load this, go to line 36 and run line 36 and tell me if line 36 makes alumni appear. So when you run line 36, tell me, it's either going to say one of two things. It'll either say nothing, which mine says nothing, and it loads it, or it's going to say like cannot find such and such. And my guess is it's going to say cannot find such and such. It's going to say like no such thing exists. Like one of two things going to happen when you run that load function right there. It's going to say cannot find such and such, or it's just going to say nothing and then alumni will appear. Which hopefully it says nothing and alumni appears because then it's working. So which one of the two happened right there? Nothing, or it said cannot find. Which one of those two happened? I'm probably going to go off the assumption it said cannot find. If it said cannot find, there's a few steps we need to do right here. And so the steps we need to do are the following. So I'm going to write the 3 steps in the chat right now so you can review and make sure you do them. Set your working directory to BAS320 folder. And I'm going to show that right here in the video. So if you're running into this problem right now, we go to Tools, Global Options. Is how we set our global working directory. And we're going to go to the global options. And I'm working out of downloads right here. You want to go to the browse right here and set your working directory and then hit apply and hit OK. So you want to do this right here, set your working directory. Once again, I'm showing how to do step 1 of probably fixing the issue. Go to Tools, Global Environment, and right here, we're going to go to Browse, and then we're going to choose our working directory. I'm already in the one I want to work in, and then we're going to hit Apply and OK. After doing this, reset R. After doing that, reset R. Just go here, reset R, and come back into R. So that's the first thing I would check is make sure I'm in the right working directory. Step 2, make sure all files are in BAS320 folder, including .rmd and .rdata. So you need to look in your files right here and make sure you have the RMD you're currently working on. And here's the thing, a lot of people will think that they have it in there, but it's really in 2 spots. Like I've seen people be like, it's right there. It's in my folder, I can see it. But they're working on a separate copy in their downloads. So just to confirm this, if you're doing step 2 right now because Alumni did not load, go to File, Save As, and then just resave it to your 320 folder. And hopefully someone's like, oh, I was in the downloads. I had 2 copies. I was working on the one in the downloads file. So go ahead to File, Save As right now and save your thing to your 320 folder. The other thing to do is to make sure that .rmd file is here. So make sure you also see over here in your Files section your .rmd file. So you should see both your RMD and your .rdata. Sorry, I said something different a second ago. It's in the chat if you see right there. So make sure both the .rmd, which is the R markdown file, and the rdata, which is the environment. Finally got 8. That's awesome, 8. Yes, we got that sequence thing figured out. Great job. Ooh, busy office hours this morning. I was hopping around Discord, I was hopping around Zoom calls. I'd hate for someone to be like, he's not on Discord. I was like, I was talking to people on Zoom. I still meet with some people on Zoom. So sometimes if I'm quiet, it's because, but don't worry, message me. It just sometimes I might, like I try to reply back as quickly as possible. Then sometimes I'm on a Zoom call or sometimes I'm replying to some emails. So I kind of hop between Zoom, emails, Discord. You know, I want to accommodate whatever people want. Then I hop to YouTube and then I go teach class. We got this. Crazy world we live in these days. So, Isaiah, hopefully that helped. You might have to send me a screenshot. We might have to hop on Zoom or Discord to look if it's not working. But I'm hoping, Isaiah, you're like, it works. That's the best thing to hear. And 8, I think we're about to do some question number. Boom, Isaiah, like, I need happier songs on here. I know what I got. Isaiah, this is for you, man. This is one of my favorite songs. It's Mega Man. We got some awesome music here as we get going. Some Mega Man music. Mega Man 2. Load screen. Haven't gotten copyright claimed for it yet. Speaking of Mega Man. 2 seconds. Speaking of Mega Man, that screen's all crazy because guess what? It is time for a Stat Tool 1 speedrun right here. Let's hop into a Stat Tool 1 speedrun with some Mega Man. Didn't have the slides loaded up there. Okay, let me get the screen oriented properly right here. We're going to see how quickly Brian can build this subset. Having a little fun in office hours today. Let's get the subset built. And I need to scroll up to where the subset is. I don't need to really see any of that. So we're going to build a subset here. Mine was 6 pages. Depends on how long each person's is. Yep. Probably 5 to 8 pages. 5 to 7 pages. Watch out. Look at your output. Make sure you don't have things you shouldn't have. If you're getting 15, 20 pages or even 10, 12, make sure you, like when you read it, make sure the reader would actually want to read those things. And I don't know why this never saves to the size I want. I need to resize that window up there. That'll fix it because this thing doesn't size correctly every time. So let's take a look. Brian's going to try. I'm not even going to put in my coding chunk. I'm going to code this subset right here. And let's see, I don't think I can do it in under a minute. I think I can do it under 2 minutes. Let's do this. Here we go. Time to code this subset. Speedrun time. Let's do this. Okay, so we're going to insert a chunk, and we're going to call the chunk subset. Going so slow. And then we're going to go right here, and we're going to go to save into subset. We're subsetting the alumni, And then we're going to go here. We're going to start writing our conditions. We got degree 1 grad year. We want degree 1 grad year to be greater than or equal to 1992, and degree 1 grad year to be less than or equal to 1998. And then we have another condition right here. The other condition is degree 1 major, and degree 1 major needs to be, ooh, that looks, whoa, oh, come on, R, no, don't, what are you doing, R? Okay, degree 1 major needs to be contained in the vector. So this means we're doing degree 1 major contained in the vector. That's weird. Sorry. See, the computer's like, he's gonna get a record. He's gonna break 2 minutes. And then they're like, nope. These are not words right now, so I'm putting them in quotes. And so we're putting all of these in quotes. I do this slower in another video. So check out that other video where I do it slower if you need. And then we need to select certain columns right here. So I changed the argument right there. So that's changing the argument right there. And can we get, good, that's all on the screen, and the screen's acting weird. And then we want only these columns right here. I think we're gonna break 2 minutes. Oh, we're gonna break 2 minutes for sure. Wish we had done it under a minute. That'd have been cool. Select equals concatenate the vector. Let's put that in quotes. I wish these things would not appear. This is the only thing slowing us down right now, is this, that these parentheses right here are not the right kind of parentheses, and is not a word we will use. So I'm going to double click stuff, put it in quotes, double click, put it in quotes, double click, put it in quotes, run it, and now we hit our time. There's our time right there, 1:43. I think we did well. And oh, look, when we full screen it, it looks good again. Wow. Let's hop back to the screen, see if we did it. We're going to go back to that crazy phone screen here. So did we make the proper, we'll go over the code a little bit here. Did we get it working? The answer is, oh no, I don't have the right conditions. What did I make a mistake on? Oh, I think it's that people who have values greater than 0. No, I lost because that, we're missing a condition. Did someone say it? Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. It's some fun for me to like do stuff like that. So one thing I'm doing right here. So wait, and did I make a mistake? What is going on? Great. Oh, there we go. Fixed. Got it. Good. So I forgot one condition. We want people who have donated. And I was trying to show off some tricks like how to code a little bit faster. If you have a word that's not in quotes, you can always double click the word and you can put quotes around it. So I was doing that a lot for like statistics up here because statistics wasn't in quotes. So I'd click it and then I'd put quotes around it. So it's one of my favorite like quick tricks is to do that. I also like coding it so it looks pretty easy to read. Notice how all the conditions are within this line right here. So the conditions kind of sub-indent right here. And then this is what are we subsetting. Then we have the names of the variables we are subsetting with the conditions we are subsetting on. And then we have finally the columns we are selecting. So I go over this more in depth during lecture, but this is just kind of how to do it. And I have another video where I do this more slowly. So there's one where I kind of walk through and explain each bit. But I just wanted to kind of, since people are on later questions, I did it a little bit more quickly so we could get the subset. It tells me how many rows and how many columns we should have. So it says 768 and 4. And right there, 768 and 4. You could technically, and I keep expanding the screen so it doesn't wrap, you could go here to dim, which stands for dimensions, and we see 768 and 4. That's the rows and that's the columns. So that confirms. Verify. Oh, sure. Yeah, there we go. We're going to verify it anyways. Control-Alt-I. Quick commands right there. And then we'll go to dim and we'll go to sub and we'll look. There it is again. Great stuff. We can insert a chunk right here and we can call this 7A. What fraction are statistics majors? So if you want to see if someone is a statistics major, what kind of thing will you do right here? You'll do some sort of check starting with an L, some sort of logic. I'm going to say it today. But you'll do some sort of logical check to see if someone's a stats major. So logical Ryan, 100 points right there. Yep, I shouldn't have answered. I know you guys got me right here, guys and gals. So we're going to go to the sub and go to the degree 1 major, and we can just look at them. Look at them right there. So looking at all of these right here, we want to know, did I remove out? I feel like there's something I missed. Yeah, I think later on we make a table. Should I do that? It's not required. I keep thinking, there's the drop levels. Oh, wait, so wait. Then remove the unused levels and print to the screen the summary of the, okay. Very sorry. I was like, I thought we forgot something because, sorry, I'm hopping backwards. This is what happens when I drink too much coffee. This would be an error. Figure out the error. I moved the art. Yes. Tables is in 7A. Yep, here it is right here. And this is not proper. So what it does is it keeps a spot open for these things until you remove them. And I did this wrong the first way. Drop levels removes unused levels, and you don't write it into the levels, you write it into the variable itself. So this will overwrite the factor itself without these blank levels. So you see all these zeros down here. It's going to remove all the levels with zeros and only keep the ones that have values in them, which we're going to see right here. So when I run drop levels, it overwrites the vector and removes the levels that have nothing in it. So now when I run this, we only get accounting, finance, and statistics. Once again, this is a vector. A table is a named vector. So you could even go to summary, and I think it's doing a table. It should be. And we could say statistics, and there it is right there. Interestingly enough, this code right here that we just wrote, and be very careful, that's not the answer. That's the answer. Once again, don't write down everything I do. Be following along. Think about what your answers are. Because if you stop or you just watch this with no audio and you're not listening, you might write down something that you shouldn't write down. And I'm right about 99% of the time. I do make an error once or twice. I'm not perfect. And so right here, it wants us to find out what fractions are statistics majors. Well, guess what we can do? That's how many people are stats majors. What could we do to this right here? What could we run to figure out what fraction of people's are stats majors? Because we already figured out there's 35 stat majors. So what could we do with this? This is a whole different way of coding it. I'm not even doing logical check. Cry. Oh, no, no, no. What could we do right here to figure out? I'll try cry. You know, cry could work. We could cry and it would work if we do this. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I got to divide by cry. There, that's the answer. Cry did work. So it's because 768 is the number we need to divide by. But let's pretend we can't see this over here. There's lots of ways to get 768. 768 could be obtained by finding the number of rows in our subset. You notice how that's 768? So that's the answer right here. And there's the answer to what percent of people are stats majors. But the logical check way might make more sense to do, because you could go here and do a logical check to see if somebody is a stats major. Like, is their major equal to statistics? And then what do we wrap this inside of? Because now we've got trues and falses, and we could put this inside of a what to find out the percent of people who are stats majors. Because trues and falses are ones and zeros. So if this is a whole bunch of ones and zeros, we could just take the what of this vector to find out the percentage of ones. It's a bunch of ones and zeros. It's like, imagine if you have 10 people and 2 of them are stats majors. That'd be 2 over 10. And it's kind of like if they're ones, it'd be 1 plus 1 divided by 10. So what are you doing if you add up all the numbers, you divide by how many there are, you're taking the what? Because they're all ones. So if you add up all the numbers and divide by how many there are, you're taking the what of a vector. Add up all the numbers and divide by how many there are, you're taking the what of a vector. The mean, Ryan, right there. Nice job taking the mean. And it's good to confirm if you do an answer 2 ways that you're getting the same answer. This is just 2 ways to do 7b. It's always good to just see a second way to be like, how could we do this another way? And that's got it. Define a data frame called sort sub that is the resulting sorting the sub of the LGT, lifetime gift UT, largest in the first row, smallest in the last row. So what's really confusing right here, and I'm going to make more sense of it hopefully, is let's take a numbers vector and let's talk about the order, the way order works. Is if we take a vector of numbers and we type 10, 1, 3, 5, 2. So there's numbers, and if we go to order of these numbers, let's see what we get. So here's the order of these numbers right here. So that's so crazy. It's going to take, I see what it's doing. Its order is so interesting. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to give where the positions should be for each element of an ordered vector. So the best way to describe order is it's going to put it from smallest to largest. And we could do from largest to smallest. We could say, I think it's decreasing is the function, or the argument, excuse me. And now I want us to look at this. It says when we report the ordered vector, the positions we should report first. The first position in the ordered vector we report should be position number what? So order tells you the positions for when we order the vector. And the first position we should use for a decreasing vector, the first thing we should report is position number what, according to this? For a decreasing vector, the first position we should report is position number what? For a decreasing vector, the first position we should report is what? So it's telling you the positions you should report for a decreasing vector. The first position we should report for a decrease, to make a decreasing vector, we should report the thing in position number what? And look at the results down here. 1. So look what's in position 1. Now the next thing we should report is the thing in position what? If we're going to do it in an ordered vector, if we're going to report, we'd report position 1 first, and then we'd report position what next? To do an ordered decreasing vector, we'd report the thing in position what? We'd report the thing in position number... wait. We're going to report 5, but 5 is in position 4. Does that make sense? So this is telling us that we're going to report the thing in position 4. So we are reporting 5, but we're reporting the thing in position 4. And then the next thing we should report is the thing in position 3, which happens to be 3. Then we'll report the thing in position 5 right here. And so what this is the order of the vector. So you could call this order. And where does order go? It would go into the positions. So I can easily order these numbers here by going to my order, and now it's ordered the numbers. Does that make sense right here? I've ordered the numbers by doing this. Does that make sense what I've done? Is it reports the position, the first position, the fourth position, and I'm using it in square brackets right here. Who's following me like, okay, order gives you the positions of the things you should report things in to put them in order. So what does order return? It returns positions, and we use those positions to report things. So if we want to order the rows, we need to go here and find out the order. And don't do that small example. Let's comment it out so no one does it. That's Control-Shift-C right there. Block comment. Cool thing I was taught last semester. I can't tell you how many things I've learned from students. It'd be the whole class. Maybe close to. But students are like, hey, Brian, you can block comment. Control-Shift-C. It really helps. Once again, you highlight the code you want, Control-Shift-C or Command-Shift-C, block comments out code, so that way you can just comment a whole bunch at once. And you can unblock comment out code. It comments, it uncomments like that. So it's a really easy way to comment stuff out. Helps out a lot rather than clicking around and selecting a whole bunch of code. So right here, what do we have? We want to go to the sub and go to the lifetime gift to UT. And this is just everyone's gifts to UT. So when we run order on this, it's going to tell us the order in which we should report things such that it would be increasing. We don't want the increasing, we want the decreasing. So we're going to do decreasing equals true. And now it's going to start with the larger one and the smaller one. So this is the way in which we should report stuff such that these are the orders we should report them. This is the order right here. So what are we going to use these orders for? Well, we could do it for ordered rows. So this is probably a good way to make sense of it. These are the orders of the rows. And what are we going to do? We're going to go to our subset, and we're going to put our ordered rows here. So this is our ordered rows, and look what it does. This orders the rows. If you look at what's been reported right here, look at the lifetime gift to UT. You'll notice that at all times, the lifetime gift to UT, if I could get down to it, it is doing what? The lifetime gift to UT is just decreasing. So the lifetime gift to UT is constantly decreasing right here. Just look at this column right here. Lifetime gift to UT is decreasing. Brian's on Discord in an hour. It's 2 p.m. your time. So we've done it, but we haven't saved it yet. So what do we call this? Subordered or something? What do we call it? Sort sub. And then we have to report rows 23 through 28, which I don't think I did in the last video. Now that we've got the sort sub, we can go here and only report 23 through 28 with a vector like that, and we've done it. So that's got it. Some people have noted that my R does not print out below, and that's the way I like it. You can make yours do the same by going to global environment, and I believe not appearance. This is where you change your background theme and editor. Is it under our markdown? Yeah. If you pause the screen right here, I'll move my head. Pause your screen. If you want your R to act like mine, change your settings to what I have. Go to yours and look and change the settings. Then your R will act the way mine acts. Mine acts a little bit differently. I don't like it printing the output right there. So yes, Jessica, that is awesome. You got it all completed, done, and everything. Great job. And make sure, did you look it over to make sure it didn't have excessive output? That's the only thing I'm just always so worried that someone's gonna have like, you probably did. So I'm just like, as long as you did, you're good. Jessica, great work. Great job. Excellent work. Had you ever coded before this class, Jessica? Had you ever done any coding? Did you come in? I like it when people are like, I had no knowledge and I got the first assignment done. That's a huge hurdle. And I'm about to, let's see. So I'm gonna tell one quick story right here. My one quick story right now is nope. I like that. One of my students took a BS 320 and BS 474 in the summer, and they had, I don't think they had any coding experience. They're a math and stats major, and now they're working as a data scientist. And their dad went and hired someone who had been coding for like a year, and the person didn't know as much as they knew from like 2 months of coding. They'd only been coding 2 months, and we got them further along than this person that had been trying to learn how to code for 1 year. So I think one of the big things, if you notice about this, is we're really pushing you. We're really like asking you to learn a lot, but we're offering assistance and we're here to answer questions. Please take advantage of like, come into these office hours, ask questions, email me questions, hop on the Discord, ask questions, work with each other. Because if you try to do these things on your own, you're like, I'll just learn it. It's way harder. You can do it. There's many, many self-taught people who are excellent, but being, they call it autodidactic, learning on your own and these things is a lot harder than, at least in my opinion, than having resources and having people you can say like, why doesn't my code work? And then they can point it out, because my own stories go the same way that I've worked on code and I've been stuck for like an hour, and I've went to Dr. Petrie and he's like, oh, you're missing a comma. And I'm like, oh, that's Mega Man now. Let's punch out. Punch out's getting us happy. It's supposed to be sad music, but no. But no, I've been stuck on code for an hour. I feel like the biggest issue is just finding the resources. Once I realized that I should have used All-Stars, Discord, and YouTube, I noticed my confidence in coding is going up. Yeah, tell everyone that. Tell everyone, just keep reaching out. Everyone's going to make their own way of doing this. Everyone's going to be like, hey, emailing Brian works for me. Hopping on these YouTube videos or watching them later works for me. I put the segments underneath. There you go, 8's concurring. Great job, both of you, 100 points right there. Just make your own path, make your own way. And that's all I want for everybody, is to figure out what works best for them. I know I'm very ADD, and that drives some people crazy. But going back here to 7D, let's finish off 7. There is one alumnus who donated exactly this amount. It almost sounds like we should maybe figure out if someone has an amount equal to that. So let's go here and see if we can go to our subset, and we are going to go to their lifetime gift, and we're going to do a logical check to see if someone's amount is equal to this. Now, you could do this both these ways, but we'll do a little talk on this again because it does come up regularly. I believe both of these answers will return the correct result. So this is going to search through to see if somebody... Oh, there, you're welcome, David. Glad to hear that. And thank you, Ryan. 100 points both of you right there. Just hop in, ask your questions. I'll put them in the queue, and we'll do them as many as we can. I'm glad these help, because you just need practice. You need to hear it. You need to just practice. So this says, is someone's amount equal to this? And it actually works. And this says, is someone's amount contained in this over here? And we could put more amounts. This can be used for one or multiple amounts. Did I spell amounts? I feel like amounts is spelled like that. I wish there was a spell check right here. Oh, there is. Thank you, spell check. Oh, man. I forgot. That's new to R, I think. I was using R before there was spell check. Should only be used to check if equal to one amount. And so this right here, it should only be used to check to see if there's one amount, and that's how I would properly use it. I'll show more on that in a second. These are not the answer yet, because we need to figure out which person this is. And I think, did I do all of this? Make sure you have this answer. I'm just going to shout out to the rest of it. But if I want to find out which person it is, that's like figuring out which position the person is in. You don't want just 569, because how did we know this? We had to check for them. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to go to sub, and then I'm going to go to the vector WE, which is their wealth estimate. And I'm going to put this position in here, and that works. Here's another way. You can go to sub, and you could go to that row and return the column. That's the same answer. Here's another way. You could go to this exact same answer here. And if you know the wealth estimate is, I think, the 4th. Yep, same answer. So we're seeing the answer 3 ways, as we usually try to do, just to understand the different ways people would code this. This is why it's important too, especially for later assignments. Do all your work on your own. You can ask around, but try to code it on your own, try to work it on your own, and then ask questions and build off of what we teach and what we do. Are you going to post this I don't post these, but you can rewind the video, Ryan, even live. So I don't post these because they are kind of the answers, and I know I am kind of putting them out there. But you can rewind the video and or you can pause the video. So that's but I don't post these right here. But good question, Ryan. Good question. 100 points, Ryan. Crazy office hours points today. What is a zero length variable name? Can you post the whole thing? Are you getting something like and I'll explain what the bottom code is. Have you done question number 6? Yeah, yeah, I can do question 6 here next. We might have done it. We got tons of time today. An error. Are you getting something like this? Or let's call this Brian. Are you getting output like this? Is that what you're getting right here? Are you getting like an integer 0? So if I pause, I can come back later. Yeah, yep. You can, and these will be posted later, so you can always watch live or go to the recording, or you can hit there should be a live button somewhere down here. Look down there and there should be a live button. If it's red, you're currently watching as live as I am live, and then you can literally grab the scroll wheel and go backwards in time, and you can like hit live and watch live or jump around the video, like even while it's playing, which is why I love it more than Zoom. Because you'd be like, wait a minute, pause. I need to write down what Brian has. And like, okay, you might be able to put it at like double speed while we're live. And then if it catches up, it might go to regular speed. I haven't tried those options, but there's a lot of good options for like pausing the video, which you can't do via Zoom. So that's why I love this way more than Zoom. So, I mean, Zoom is all right, but I like the options we have with like watching live recordings and marking videos and stuff. Isaiah, if you can go into more detail, I might figure it out. If you can like post maybe a few more. I don't know if you're getting like an integer 0, which means a vector of length 0. What is 0 length variable name? You might have to send me it, Isaiah. But good work there, Isaiah. Good work. So it's an error attempt to use 0 length variable name. Can you post the code you ran to do that? Can you like why not? I'm dropping this in the chat. Like do like this right here. Oops, put an answer in the chat. So so if I tell you to post code, don't worry, you can post code, and then you can delete it afterwards if you want. Like if I say like post the code, you can always like click on the thing you posted and like remove the comment. But if you post the code, I'll take a look. So I'll pause right here and do that to see if we can figure out what's going on with this code, and then maybe I can try to explain the error too. So like if you post kind of like what I posted right there and just drop the code in the chat, I'll take it and I'll start analyzing it and see why it might be happening. Hopefully I can figure it out. There's a chance I won't know. My hair disappears right here. Not that hair, it's this hair. I'm just gonna disappear. I shouldn't do it. I was gonna mess with the green screen. There's not a green screen behind me. You can't see the green screen. That sounds like John Cena or something. I don't watch wrestling. You can't not know things. The code is too long. Email it to me. Email me your RMD and I'll take a look a little bit later because we do have until tomorrow night, so we should be good. Yeah, try splitting it up. You can do up to 200 characters in a YouTube chat. So like split it up into parts. I'll put it back together. And which row in sub has values of these? So this is where we have to do %in %. If we want to figure out multiple values, Control-Alt-I, insert new chunk, give the chunk a name, 7e, and now we're going to go here to interest. Sometimes I just call a vector, and this is a vector of numbers now. Please note, just so you get better at it, that every time you want to make a vector, we'll use C to concatenate it together. Just think of C as gluing things together, like you're just saying, like, this is the first thing, this is the second thing. And vectors can be numbers, it can be words, it can be factors. Here we go right here. Oh, this is your... Oh, this is the, I think it's the conditions for the thing. I'll put it up here for now. All right. And then that's your condition for the LTG gift. That's the condition for that. That's left that. This log, this log right here is an issue. The log is not in quotes, and I think that's part of the issue. So I think that should be instead, I'm gonna go find it. Oh, did I? Oh, did I? Oh, maybe when I was doing this, change that select portion to this right here. I think I was changing it around. Mine ran, and then maybe I made some changes, and I was showing how to do the select, not select. But the part, I think the issue right now is that this right here is called log, and we're not selecting that column, and it's not in quotes. So everything in here needs to be in quotes. And I think I was showing a moment ago how you can like double click something and do this right here. See if that fixes it, Isaiah. And then check to make sure you have the right amounts. That looks to maybe be where the issue is, because anything in the select should be in quotes, and make sure it's spelled properly. And I dropped it in the chat so you can kind of take a look at that right there. But good job, Isaiah. Hopefully that fixes it. Tell me if your subset is made. Once you run that, when you run your subset function, look over here to make sure you have 768 and 4. So once you do your subset, make sure you have those things right there. I'm going to hop back to 7E, but great job right there. So these are the things we are interested in. So I try to, especially when I'm trying to show people how to do this, we want to ask, are the values, I'm typing in the chat, in the LTG 2UT vector contained in the vector of interest? Error in could not find function. So that, I think that's an issue with how you're saving. Make sure you're saving into sub. You might need to send me it via email, Isaiah. You've got my email, right? bstevens@utk.edu. Send me it via email and we'll get it figured out since it's too big to put in chat. Are the values in the LTG UT vector contained in the... Oh, that's why I wrote. I was like... so it's if you're looking at this right here, are the values in the LTG UT vector contained in the vector of interest? So that's our next code we have to write right here. So keep thinking about it. We want to see if the values in the LTG UT vector, so there's the vector right there, are they contained in... Will that work? Nope. Has to be... Oh, did I not store the interest? and then could not find this. Okay, I was like, there we go. That works. There, you have to lowercase this. I was hoping it would work, and I had a second error, and so that does not work. It can't. That's not a function, but this is a function. So what does this do? It's a big review. We always want to make sure we know because we put these questions on the test. It asks, is the element on the left contained in the vector on the right? And so now we're asking, is 2 contained over here? Are the values over here on the left, these values contained in these values right here? So the interest vector is this. So are the values here, whatever people gave, contained in this vector here? So once again, if you look at this, you should be able to figure out what this will return. Anyone watching right now know what this will return? This code that I'm highlighting, what will this return when I run it? This is a very good test question. We asked test questions about how to code on the first test. What will that code return right there if I were to run it? Read it as a sentence. Are 8 and 1, it's a bad way of reading it. So Ryan, close. I see what you're thinking. It'll ask, is 8 contained over there? Is 1 contained over there? So Ryan, think about this. Is 8 contained over there? Is 1 contained over there? That's how it'll work. Is 8 contained over there? Is 1 contained over there? Is 8 contained over there? Is 1 contained over there? It's 2 questions. Oh, no, anyway, it's only 2 questions. Is 8 contained over there? Is 1 contained over there? So 2 questions only. What will that return? Is 8 contained over there? So is 8 contained over here? Is 1 contained over here? Just 2 questions. Yep, you got it, Ryan. 100 points. That's what it's going to return. And so think about this. When we run this, it's going to check all of these elements here to see if they're contained over here. It's going to see if the first one's contained over here, if the second one's contained over here, if the third one's contained over here, if the fourth one's contained over here, if the fifth one's contained over here, if the sixth one's contained over here. That's what you get when it checks all these elements. It tells you for all of them true or false, whether they're on the other side of the thing. Does that make sense, Ryan, a little bit more? It's checking for all of these numbers here to see all these numbers, are they contained over here? So every time it looks, is this contained over here? Is this contained over here? Is this contained over here? Yeah, that's hopefully the more you see it, like one of these days you're like, oh, I was just seeing, is this over there? And that's why we get trues and falses relative to the length of this. So it's going to check, there's 768 elements, and it checks to see if they're over here, just like it's checking is 8 over here, is 1 over here. So you only get a true and a false. If you were to go right here and add a 3, it would say false, true, true. If you were to change this to 5, it would change it to false at the very end. And that's what we want to see. Ryan, excellent work. Percent and percent, people are still wondering in 474 what it does. Don't worry. It's something for like, how does that work? It just says, is this contained over here on the other side? True or false? So that's got this. I think the last thing we want to do is which rows. Which rows? Which rows? Which? There we go. There's the rows. What does which do? I'm going to remove the interest thing. So which returns the positions of the things that meet the conditions. So now that we know kind of where the trues and falses are at, rather than like examining and going to 250 and being like, okay, at 250 right here, because it's 248, 249, 250, there's a true. If you put it inside of a which, it'll then tell you where all the trues are at. There's a true at 250, a true at 284, true at 304. So this tells us where all the trues are at. Create a column called log lifetime gift to UT, which is the logarithm base 10. Okay, a lot of work right here. We're going to call that Q7F right here. And so we're going to create this log column. Now, I want to point something out right here, and this is on the subset. So watch this. When you go to subset, you can type something that doesn't exist. You could type in Brian, and you could save into Brian 5, and it'll create a column of all 5s. So you notice how there's 4 variables right here in subset? Well, watch. Now there's 5. And the variable Brian is at the top of it, and it's all 5s. No, that's a bad idea. You can remove Brian by going here and nulling Brian out. So we're going to copy, paste, paste, and we're going to delete Brian off. Notice that the null, which is a blank object, is going to remove the column Brian that we created. Sorry, Brian, you're gone. So that removes Brian out of the data frame, nulled out that vector. So anything we want can be created by just calling it a name, like creating a vector, lifetime gift to UT. Now, we could just store in the original value here, and we would just have a copy. Notice how we created a variable right here? So now we have a copy of the lifetime gift to UT. It's not actually the log yet. But let's say we take this and we're overwriting. We're not creating a column now. We're overwriting an existing column we created. And we go in front of it and type log 10. So now we've taken the log 10 and we've stored it in the log 10 lifetime gift to UT. Now, always the big thing to do is to check what you've created. To check what I've created, I'm going to go here and click it and take a look. Log 10, when you think about it, probably let's look for an easy number to log 10. 100. Log 10 of 100 is 2. We've done it properly. That's because you have to raise 10 to the second power to get 2. And I've totally changed the screen now. But there we go. So the log 10 of 100 is 2. And so this is the log 10 of the lifetime gift. And so hopefully that helps you maybe even understand what's going on with the log right here. And I'll explain why we use logs. It's kind of a decent talk before we do number 6. This lifetime gift to UT, to graph it, is very skewed to the right. And we're going to pull up a histogram here. Histograms display univariate quantitative data. So we're going to bring the vector of the original lifetime gift into a histogram, and we're going to make the histogram visible. And it's very, very right skew. Like you can't even see the observations to the far right. But what if we were to go here and do log lifetime gift? Well, all of a sudden now the data has some spread to it. So now we have some more normalized data. The data can be kind of easier to differentiate between people and to create kind of segments and maybe z-scores. Because now the data is a little bit more normal, and we know better in statistics how to work with data that's more normal. Is any data normal? Well, that's a whole nother talk. But this data is definitely more normal than the non-logged values, which are very, 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 very right skew. We could look at a box plot to show kind of the same concept right here, that this data is extremely skewed. And I'll show you one last trick right here. So the box plots are going to show, I'll go to box plots. Box plot, box plot. Here's the box plot of the original data. Here's the box plot of the log data. So if you notice, original data, very, very skewed, and we have extreme outliers. Log data, everything's kind of pulled in. So the log takes extreme data and normalizes it a good bit. So that's why we use logs, is to like normalize data, transform it towards normality. And is it the skew function? What is the skew function in again? Skew in R function. What package is that in? Why is skew not a base R function? Is it not E1077? From Psych? I saw it in E1077. Makes sense. I've never heard of this Psych package. Library E107. There we go. So our skew is at? Skewness function. So in Stat 201, people often wonder if things are like right or left skew, and right skew is positive, left skew is negative. And so these are both going to be, there's extreme right skew, and that's way more normal. 0 is no skew and it's symmetric. So good to see here, David. But one thing I like to point out, especially in our class, is that we have ways of doing stuff right now that is way better and way easier. Rather than debating, like, you know, which is kind of obvious, like, is this right skew? I can just go here and get the value of its skew. The value of its skew is a numeric value, so we can actually measure the skew. And the more symmetric it is, the closer it'll be to 0. Just to show this, we could go here to a histogram of random normal numbers. We could do 1,000, and there's a histogram that is actually normal. And now we could go here, and technically these are different numbers. A staff person is going to say, you generated randomness twice. But you'll notice that the skewness is very close to 0 when the numbers are normal. So this is normal data here, and skewness is very, very close to 0. You say, well, that's positive. Oh, that's negative. It's close to 0. And skewness is just a metric of how left or right skew it is, positive or negative. And I think that does it. Oh, we got to unlog these values. I had too much fun right here. So let's go ahead and take the quantile of this. Quantile is going to give us the percentiles. We want the quantile of this vector. We want the 75th percentile, and we don't need that extra 0. And here is the quantile. Now, a big question is, how do we unlog values? So let's use our example from earlier to see how to unlog values. When we unlog values, we have a log 10, right? And we log 10 100, and this equals 2. So now that this equals 2, how do we take 2 and turn it back to 100? 500 points in the chat. Who knows? How do we turn 2 back into 100? How do we use 2 and maybe another number here to turn it back into 100? Who knows? Somehow we have to take that 2 and make 100 out of it, which is weird because we're not going to use the 2. We're going to use something else. We're going to use like the 10. But we're going to use the 10 with the 2. 10-2. Good video game. It was an alright video game. What will we do? We will go and we will do 10 raised to the second, and that'll equal 100. So the formula here is, oops, how did I go down that far? It will be, the formula is the base raised to the answer equals original value. So you take the base, which this is a base 10, and you raise it to the answer, which I saved as x, and that's the original value. So, and be careful, don't write everything I write. Once again, Mubot, quote 7, where's quote 7 at Mubot? Quote 7, don't write everything I write. I've written a lot for this. But that is the answer to it right here. So that's what's going on. Hopefully that makes sense right there. And there was some question 6, and we got more than enough time to do question 6. Oh no! Question 6, let's do it. Let's hop to it. Can't yawn. Never gonna yawn. Okay. Rename the gender column to be gender. Rename its levels to be family, female, male, unknown, and print to the screen a frequency table of this recoded, which is apparently not a word. Short wait, reseated, no, gender column. So there's a lot of ways to do this, and really we're going to do this the best way, and there's other ways. But the best way to do this is to search for the column named gender. So when you think, as we code here in little bits, we're going to go here to the names of the alumni data frame. So the names of the alumni data frame are as follows. You'll notice that there is one called gender code. Now, where is that at? Well, let's do a logical test. This will give us trues and falses right here, so we can see that it is right here in position 1. But wait a minute, that's a logical vector. How do we take a logical vector and get the positions? We should know this by now. To get the positions of the things that meet the conditions, we do which. That's the positions of the things that meet the conditions. So it's only going to return 1 right here. So we did all of that work to just get 1, even though we could kind of see it. But this is a very good, safe way to recode stuff, because now what we're going to do, let's just call this positions, the ones we're going to recode. We'll spell it properly. And now we're going to go here to the names of alumni. And then we're going to go to the positions we want to recode, which is everything up there. And we are going to store into it gender, capital like that. So, hey, what's up, Tyler? Good to see you here. Good to see you. We restarted Mubot. There's a new bot right here, Mubot, Tyler. So sorry the points changed around. This is Mubot. Wait, is it quote 1? Mubot loves the dogs, because that's how I spell dogs. No, it's sorry, Tyler. We had to, Mubot is new here. So We had to change MuBot around. See, there we go. I am MuBot. We are Stat Nation. It was Oh wait, yeah, because this is on a public stream right now. We were making some changes and everything to make sure everything works. Um, so we made MuBot. MuBot helps us out right here. MuBot we can actually bet now, Tyler. Wait, can I? If I might give you points, Tyler, again. I forget how to work MuBot. So no, don't worry. I'm sorry about that. You see, and it's got a new clock on your watch time. So you hadn't chatted yet. So it was recording you watching the video. You love sports betting. You've got 10 points. Do you like betting? Do you like MuBot? So you can bet up to 10 points. And so option 0 is yes. Option 2 is no. And start the betting. So you can bet on do you like MuBot. And you have to do, so here's how it works. You have to do bet. I think I can bet. Bet, the amount of points you want to bet, and the ID. So that's how you do your betting right there. Can I bet? Maybe I can't bet. Looks like I can't bet. So, did I do it incorrectly? Oh, no. Sorry. Oh, did I just mess up everyone's bets? Wait. Here, let me restart it. It's bet option amount. So it's bet option amount. It's bet option amount. Sorry, I don't do as much of the betting as everybody. It's bet the option, the amount. There we go. That's, oh man, people are getting some free 10 points right here. So it's bet your option and then the amount. And so it actually works now, like it actually tracks points. And so now we'll go ahead, we'll stop the betting and we'll go ahead and pick a winner. Oh man, yeah, that's, and then I've selected yes. And then MuBot will say like, everyone that has bet yes, been rewarded, and it gave you extra points right there. So it's pretty neat that we can do these things. I try to use it more often. And there are ways for me to do it, I think, that I can, you know what I might do? I might even try typing things in the chat because I can type it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. And it took me like Saturday morning 2 weeks ago or so to get it set up. But yeah. And we've got, okay, I'll finish up this question right here. Nobody, I'm glad people are liking it. You know, it's more fun to like this, you know, we don't want to just sit around and do stats. We want to have fun. I mean, I think stats is fun, but we got to have some fun while doing it too. So why not? So we've recoded the gender column right here. Heading out. Oh, so good to see you, Tyler. Thanks for swinging by, man. I greatly appreciate it. Channel's going well, and I hope you're doing well also, Tyler. So thank you very much. That's why I like public videos. We get former students. So if anyone's like, Brian, why are the videos public at times? Because, you know, we have some fun. People come by, say hey from class before, and just like, it's good seeing Tyler right here. So, man, it makes me miss my students. I mean, I've got students now, but it makes me miss all, I don't know. Missing my students right here. Let's finish this code. Let's go here to levels. And so we've confirmed we've changed the name of it. Let's go here to gender. And now we've got the gender. Okay, so I want to overwrite this vector right here. So think of this as just a vector, like literally this is this. Does that make sense? All right, like this right here is this. So why not just overwrite it? Why not just write something on top of it and be like, let's replace what's right there. Let's just like store something into this that replaces that. Does that make sense as I point to it? Like this right here, this is literally that. So why not store something into it? I'm disappearing. I can't reach up to it. Why not store something into this to change what it currently is? Who's with me on that? Anyone with me would be like, yes, let's just overwrite what that is with something else. We can just say, hey, here's a new vector, because this is a vector. That's already a concatenated vector. That's a C with blah, 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 blah. So all we're going to do, you got it, Ryan. Thank you so much, Ryan. We're just going to take this vector right here, and we're just going to say, oh, just overwrite that with this, and we don't want that and there. Boom. Done. And then what's it say? Print a frequency table. Cool, that's table. And so now we've overwritten the names of those, and we've done it. That's got it. So all we're doing is just overwriting what the vector was called, or like the names in the vector with something else. Totally different names, totally works. That's got it. Really good stuff right there. And I think that's the only thing to question 6. So we got question 6 and 7 done. I think we did question 2 earlier. We did 2, 6, and 7. Any other? You're welcome, Chandler, right there. Does it make more sense, Chandler, like what we're doing? in truth, you know, like, I guess in technical ways, you could have just done names alumni this. Like, this works also. This is the more exact way of doing it, but you could just rewrite the first position technically. Like, the problem is, let me explain why. Someone's like, well, if that's the easy way, not do it. Why not do it that way? This way searches for the things that are named gender code. This right actually now should return. Thinking of what it will return. Integer 0. Yes. I was between a few answers there in my head. So you're welcome, Chandler. You're welcome. Great. I'm glad this helped out a lot. You might say, why is this returning integer 0 now? It's because the width returns a numeric vector, and right now we returned a vector with nothing in it. So right now this looks like positions right now might as well be as.integer and a vector that has nothing in it. So this is what's currently in there. There's nothing in there. And that's because right now there are no columns because we renamed it. There's no columns named gender code. So what's really the great thing is if you use this positions thing right here, right now this code does nothing. Like I can keep running this code and it's not actually renaming it because there are no positions called gender. So if I even call this like, make a mistake in how I spell it, it's not going to rename that because there are no positions called gender code. So the positions it's looking for right here, they don't exist. So we are not actually recoding. So this is the super safe way of doing it because it's only going to look for the things that meet the condition when it does the recoding. And there's right now nothing to recode because there is no column called gender code. However, if there is a column code gender code, well, yeah, so I need to write that down here. Names, alumni, position 1, recall to gender code. And that's got that. Now there is a position called gender code and it finds it. So we don't have the integer vector of length 0. We can actually see that the thing we're going to rename is gender code. And what are we storing into gender code? We're storing in gender. So once we run that, we've renamed it. And as you saw, you'd have to rewind time, but it was called gender code. Now it's called gender. And then this is renaming the levels of it, which we've already done. And then that's putting the table of it, and that's got it. What other questions are there? I might talk a little bit about Lubridate. Let's see if anyone has any other questions. 320, 474, 201. What is there? Number 5? Yeah, of course. You bet. You're here. You get the questions answered. Let's do it. So add a column called Greek that is initially a copy of the categorical variable fraternity sorority. So what are we going to store into to kind of like write a new column? What are we going to like store into? Like, think about this. We're storing alumni. We need to connect a variable to it. What are we going to store into to write a new column? Because what we're going to have to do is we'll put a chunk here. Control-Alt-I, quick way to put in a chunk. Let's name our chunk 5A so we can come back to it if we want to scroll back through, because we can always hop around in our sheet. And so we want to store the alumni $, it's currently called fraternity sorority. Autocomplete is awesome. And we want to store that into something. So when I say store into, you should think left arrow. Left arrow means store into. And the more you're listening to this, the more if you pause the video, if you're like, how do I do this? Okay, wait. You take, oh yeah, that's how I do it. The more you can like hear me say store into, and you know it's left arrow, the better you're getting. So now we want to store it into something. Where are we storing it into? The data frame alumni. So this is the data frame like an Excel spreadsheet and a vector that does not exist. If I start typing out Greek, it won't exist. There is no Greek column, but there is degree. So it's doing a partial match on that. Like if I type something like that, it's not going to show up like GB, it stops showing up. So it's doing partial matches there. And then when I type Greek, it has nothing to match to. Now take a look right here. There are 79 variables, which is how many columns there are in the data frame. As soon as I run this code, there are 80 variables right there under my little pointer thing. So there's 80 variables in here now. The last variable is what we created, a copy of fraternity sorority, and the vector is called Greek right there. So we created a Greek vector. How many levels does Greek have? To figure out how many levels it has, what code lets us look at the levels? What code lets us look at the levels? And I can see the answer actually. Wait, there's the answer right there. Levels, you're right. And so here's the bad way and the right way. Be very careful. If my graders are too picky, they'll be very angry about this. Because right now you can see there's 65. But let's take this code and put it inside of something so we get exactly 65. This does report 65, but I want the code to say 65. Like I want it to just say 65. What can I do to figure out how long this is? How long is the levels vector? How many things are reported in the levels vector? What is its length, so to say, or how long is it? What can we do to figure out how, this is a vector of things, and I want to figure out like how long it is. What could I put this inside of right here to figure out how long it is? Someone in the chat's got to tell me because I forgot. Something dealing with how long it is. My brain stopped. Sleep time. No. There we go. We got it. Ryan, perfect timing. We're playing that out. Excellent work, Ryan, another 100 points. Length, that's going to show us how many things are in that vector. How long is that vector? So it's the length of that vector. And all I did was take that vector and asked how long is that vector. So when you look at this, we asked what are the levels of Greek? It's just the different answers people could give. And then we said, well, how many levels are there? Like how long is that vector? So that's got it right there. Great job. You see, we really want me to do this. Yep. And then you're answering. You know how to do this. You got this. If I just ask you how to do it, you'll tell me. So great work, Ryan. What position is this in? It sounds like we need to do a logical check. Control-Alt-I. All I'm doing is adding in chunks right here so I can do the work right next to it. You can always edit your Word document after, turn in some really nice, well-looking reports. One level is UTK Omega Phi Sci-Fi. Sorry, Omega Sci-Fi. So now I'm going to go here, and I want to see if the levels are equal to this. So I want to see here. I'm going to write in the chat, Ryan. I want you to help me out with this. So I'm going to capitalize some keywords. The levels that are logically equals to, okay, so I've got some keywords capitalized right there. What do you think we should type out, Ryan? Because we want to do a logical test right here, and we want to see, don't worry about typing that last thing, because we want to see what levels are logically equal to this. So what levels are logically equals to this? And we'll worry about the position thing last. But what levels are logically equals to this? So we need to put some stuff before it. And the logical equals, whenever you hear logical equals, it's a test which returns trues and falses. So the logical equals should be, what should you write for that? Logical equals. Someone's being like, I know it, Brian, I know it. You're watching in the future. Future, you knows this. It's going to be equals. Is it quote 12? I think quote 12. And we need to go to the levels vector. No, it's quote 11. Maybe it's quote 13. So then we're going to go to the levels vector. Mubot. You behave, Mubot. So we're going to go to the levels of alumni. $ Greek. And there we go right here. So now that I have what I need, let's take a look and try to figure out the position. How do we find the position of the things that meet the conditions? How do we find the positions of the things that meet the conditions? That's a big thing. Whenever we want the positions of the things that meet the conditions, which we can see here, the answer is true right here. Which, boom, right there, David, 100 points. Great job. Which, yep, Ryan, 100 points also. And now it's going to tell us where this true is at right here. Boom. The answer is 40. We found it. That is the position in the thing in the vector. How many people went Greek? Now this is where it gets a little confusing, and Control-Alt-I for new chunk. So we're going to go here, and we're going to see how many people went Greek. To figure out how many people went Greek, we need to look at the levels vector a little bit right here. So you know what I might do? I'm going to do this a bit of a different way. I'm going to store a data frame, and the data frame, I think it's going to be hard to see. We'll find out. The data frame is just going to have one vector in it of the Greek. And let's take a look at the data frame. Oh, not that. I want the levels. There we go. So the data frame is only going to have a vector of the levels. So we have here a bunch of, you don't have to do this step. It's just something I'm doing to look at it a little bit easier on the screen. It's a vector in a data frame now, and I can view all the different things. How many people went Greek equals how many people did not? Yeah, exactly. It's how many people did not go Greek. So yes, you got the not on it. 100 points right there, David. You're right. How many people did not go Greek? Because first you find how many people did not go Greek, and then you find how many people did not go Greek. Because there's only one not go Greek thing. So it's like, here's the people who did not go Greek. Who are the not Greek people? So it's confusing. And I think the hardest thing is this thing right here. If you report what that is, that level is the first level of Alumni Greek. And the first level of Alumni Greek is this. It's not blank. It's a character blank. So it's a blank character. And so it's very confusing. It's what it is literally is it's that. It's a character with nothing in it. It's like it just hurts my mind to like well, what's the difference? There might be other ways. You won't use that, Ryan, but you're making me think of other ways right here. I'm gonna try another way for this for a moment because we do have more time. This will be kind of a good place to like get to because we've done a lot of this assignment today. Hopefully, did anyone start this assignment today completely stuck and you've been watching the video and you're like, I'm getting it, I'm following along, it's making more sense. Like hopefully that's happening right here because we're into some really nuanced stuff right now. Like I don't want to just show answers, I want to kind of talk about what's happening. Is that this thing you see right here, like this blank is actually a blank character. Like this is this right here. That's what that is. It's this right here. And so if you were to search for it, you'd have to ask, who has an alumni Greek value that is equal to that? Notice how we're getting a lot of trues right here. These are the people who did not go Greek. So we have now the people who did not go Greek, and then you can do the quick thing to flip this. Who can tell me in the chat for 100 points? How do we flip trues and falses? Just instantaneously flip them around. Just instead of getting the people who did not go Greek, let's get the people who did go Greek. Like we're getting everyone who did not go Greek. It's crazy. Boom, David, right there, 100 points. You know what's going on. And Chris, you got it. Good to see both here. We just do an exclamation. And then all we need to do is find out how many. So what do we do to, we can do something to this. We can something, if you get what I'm saying. Do something to this. Because trues and falses are ones and zeros. So if we want to figure out how many, we can do something to it. I can edit this one enough right here. We can go right here and go to sum, and there we go. Hopefully, I think that's the right answer. Double check your answer. Someone will be like, Brian, you're wrong. And I'll be like, oh no, I forgot to do such and such. I was hinting at another way, and I have ideas, but I don't, since it's a blank character, I mean, there's some really ridiculous ways that wouldn't make sense to do it, but would work. But just like you can get the right answer wrong ways, and I don't want to do that. But I want to, since it's blank, I kind of want to see what happens. I get different numbers. Anyone else? Let me double check. You should get this right here. Ryan, drop your code in the chat, and I'll take a look. I'll see. So this is the people who did not go Greek. This is people who did go Greek, and that's the sum. Yeah, so I think that's got it. Levels. Okay, let me take a look. So, oh, Ryan, you got a space right here. Yeah. So this right here, this space right here is the issue because it's a there's no space. I have to go all the way back up. There's no space right there. It's a thing with no space, which is crazy. So this is actually going to give you this is going to give you all falses. This is all falses. This is all trues, and your answer is the amount of rows there are. So this right here, your answer right here is the amount of rows. No, you're welcome, Ryan. 100 points. Thank you for posting it. Such a small difference in one little space of nothing changed the whole code. So it's pretty crazy. I'm going to try to do it a totally different way here. As dot numeric, this is not going to work. So that does all the different levels. I could do that. And you could do equals 1. So it actually turned so that this is checking to see if they're the first level. So when you take a factor and make it numeric, it order, like what you were looking at here, I'll show you. The people with things that are not 1 are actually in a Greek organization. So the first level in the levels vector is the blank. So that's what it's reporting right here. The second level is actually a Greek organization. So if we saw a 2 on here somewhere, it would be that Greek organization. So you could find right here, you know, whether or not somebody has a level equal to 1, and then you could sum these up. Not a bad way. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, well, those are the people who did not go Greek. These are the people who did not go Greek. Those are the Greek life. So that's you know, I would say try to do it 2 ways. I mean, you have to know which level you're looking at. So you're still just seeing, like, is their level equal to that? You could also change this right here. We're basically doing the same thing because this is, I don't put space. It's all right. It's just the way I code. This code right here will do the same thing also. So both of these are essentially doing the same thing. You know, and here, let's copy this code. Copy that. And copy this. Here are your 3 ways of doing it right here. So as always, we try to do things. Hey, what's up, Anxiety? Good to see you. We're ending off soon here, but good to see you, Anxiety. Anxiety's our friend, does some coding, likes to code, likes to, I think, Minecraft and stuff like that, all that good stuff. Call of Duty, or not, you know, just got off school. Cool. Keep working hard. Keep working hard. Truthfully, and I'm sure they'll tell you, the more you learn in school, you know, the more opportunities you get. It's not like everything is school, not like you should only care about school, but, you know, the biggest thing is just learning. Like, you can learn how to code on your own. You can learn how to like repair computers on your own. And there's a lot of things we should learn that maybe, like, you know, like school generally doesn't teach us, as in, like, you know, like there's not, like, I doubt in like high school and college, there's like courses on how to repair computers, or like how to, I mean, we don't even have courses on like how to repair a car anymore. Repairing a car is a really important skill. Repairing a roof is a very important skill. Metallurgy is a very important skill, like knowing how to work with metal. I learn like maybe one thing every week. Well, yep, and yeah, you can learn a lot through Googling and YouTubing. So, you know, keep learning. That's the whole goal, is like, you know, I think the problem is that sometimes people think like learning is only a school thing, and then people leave school and they're like, I don't need to learn anymore. I don't need to build new skills. But, you know, you can learn Photoshop, you can learn Adobe Premiere, you know, After Effects. Those are things that I've been learning, like video editing. It's all that good stuff right there. Do you want to see our new video, Anxiety? I'm going to end the stream soon here. I'm going to answer some emails and everything. But do you want to see one of our new outro videos, Anxiety? It's from the 80s, which all my students and stuff now, for sure. You got it. All my students now and everything are way, everyone's wearing like the 2000s. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, so I'll show you this, Anxiety. But so good to have you here. Swing by on our office hours stream. Say hey. We like it. And we're going through some coding. So eventually, Anxiety, maybe you'll be coding in R, but I know you do some coding in the background. So keep it up. Keep learning. Keep building your skill set. And the more skills you learn, the better you get at it. And maybe one day you'll be like, hey, you'll be like this really important like CEO of something. Like, yeah, I was watching this random dude on YouTube, and he was like teaching me how to code. And then I noticed all of his mistakes, and I was like, I can do better. But anyways, I will show you one of our new introductions right here / outros. So I'm out. Office hours ending. I'm gonna go answer some more emails. I'll see everybody later. We've also got Mubot here, Anxiety, but Mubot has an important mission to tell you about. Mubot, I learned some major CPP. Oh wait, Mubot's made 0 errors. Where's Mubot's mission? Is this Mubot's mission? Is that your mission, Mubot? Oh, that's happy birthday. Mubot, it's no one's birthday right now, Mubot. Is this Mubot's mission? Learn everything Brian, travel back in time, destroy Brian, become Brian. Mubot. Not cool, Mubot. But Anxiety, it was good seeing you, good seeing everyone in class, right, or during office hours right here. Mubot's made 0 errors, but Brian, of course, has made errors, become Brian. Brian has now made 30 errors this lecture. I should change it to semester. But that's got it. Let's go check out our new introduction, and I'll be answering emails and saying hey to everybody. So bye for now.